What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to my vlog, and I'm kind of continuing with the whole series of things that we're bad at as Christians. I'm kind of open to wrapping this series up in the near future. I have some other ideas, but I don't necessarily want to just keep going forever and ever with this. So feel free to leave a comment down below with whether you want me to keep this going or whether you want me to branch off and do something different, kind of go back to more of my typical just topical vlog, things I encounter in life sort of thing. Any of those thoughts, leave them down below. As for this particular video, and the thing that we're bad at as Christians this time around, I would say for this one, I would like to talk about how we are bad at conflict management. There are all sorts of different things we can encounter and problems we can have with each other, and from what I can tell, really, a lot of us as Christians are no better than anybody else at resolving these conflicts that we have with each other. And that's not the way that it should be. And really, especially since we're kind of given some biblical models and examples and teachings on this, I feel like we should be better at this. Take, for example, the fact that there are just so absurdly many church denominations out there. Like, it's insane. If I looked it up, there'd probably be some list of like 200 or so denominations, which is completely absurd. And so I think some of that has come from really poor conflict management, because a lot of these differences between some of these denominations are just these subtle little things where it's like, okay, really? Do we need to split up the church over something so small? There's just so many different things that churches have been split up over. Most of them kind of minute theological differences. Or even if it's not in their theology, it's in particular stances towards certain issues that people have divided. And I don't know, in the grand scheme of things, what's the big deal? And then there's kind of more specifically, kind of at a lower level, within a lot of church congregations specifically, you have kind of these power play tactics. You've got a sense of like church politics going on. And especially in a country that talks about separation of church and state, I find that kind of ironic. But, you know, you have people that will avoid other people or avoid talking about problems they have with other people. And it's just not the proper way to go about it. We have a model within the Bible that says, if you have a conflict with someone, go to that person first. And then, if you cannot resolve the conflict between just the two of you, bring in a third party. In a typical church setting nowadays, that would either be, you know, somebody who is like a pastor or a mentor or even a counselor of some type, but probably somebody that's, you know, removed from the situation as it has developed and, you know, can give a fresh perspective on it. And then, if that doesn't work, then the issue should be brought to the church as a whole. I would think specifically within that congregation, and, you know, you settle your differences there. And if for some reason it stems beyond that to where, like, the entirety of the church needs to sit down and talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, like, some of the recent issues and discussions that there have been over things like, you know, gender identity for sure has been a big one in that regard, where, you know, entire church denominations, really, by this point, the whole church throughout the world, all different denominations, have looked at some of these issues and have needed to come to some sort of conclusion on it. But you know, we have that biblical model of conflict management. So why do we not follow this so often? My life has been affected by a lack of good conflict resolution. Now, I'm not going to name any names, but, you know, back when I had my first youth director job, apparently there was at least one person, maybe multiple, but somebody didn't necessarily like some of the things that I was doing within the youth ministry. I don't even know a whole lot what those things were, because all I was given was directly from the senior pastor, not from this person who had the problems with me. And they were honestly kind of vague things, vague issues to have. And so I really didn't know what to do with that. And, you know, where I think honestly the senior pastor in that case kind of misstepped was that she didn't even try to bring both of us together and have us resolve the conflict on a personal level. It was all this kind of triangulation of our problems where, you know, person had a problem with me and was talking to the senior pastor about it. So then senior pastor was talking to me about this person's problems, but wouldn't tell me who this person was, so I could go and talk to that person myself. And so we were both, it wound up with both of us having our problems going to the senior pastor and, like, not to each other at all. Ultimately, that was a partial reason why I was let go from that job. They just kind of got rid of the position. It wasn't necessarily just that they had problems with me, but at the same time, that was a contributing factor. And just the fact that nobody in that situation, I mean, I kind of tried to reach out to people, but like without pulling people aside and singling them out, how was I supposed to figure out who had this problem with me and how I was doing things? So, you know, I tried to reach out kind of on a broader scale, and that didn't wind up working, apparently. But anyway, the point being, you know, I lost a job because somebody wouldn't follow the biblical model of conflict management. They weren't bringing their problems up directly to me first and foremost. They weren't actually bringing me into it at all. They were stating their problems with me and how I was doing things to somebody else. And there's no step in the biblical model that says that, to just take up your problems with someone who's not involved. Now, if there would have been the bringing us together with the senior pastor there to kind of mediate, then okay, but that still, like, the way it was handled is nowhere within the biblical model. So it's important that we keep this kind of stuff in mind. If we cannot be open enough to talk about the problems we have with each other to the people that we have problems with, then how are we supposed to handle conflicts on a broader scale? I figure we, as part of the body of Christ trying to work together, should be the best at talking to each other about these things that are going on. But so really, when it comes to managing our conflicts with each other, I don't know. I feel like we're setting a poor example for each other, for the rest of the world, and, you know, we're not really setting ourselves apart in any way. The whole point of God having his people was to have the people that were set apart, that did things differently. So if we're not doing that, then how are we being different? But yeah, I mean, I know I'm not the only person that's been affected by things like this. either. Plenty of people have either, lost jobs, or there's been significant fallout from certain events within churches just because of either something bad that was going unchecked, or because of people having issues with each other, leaders having issues with each other within the church, and then that's caused not necessarily even a denominational split, but just a congregational split. And, like, I don't know, I feel like that serves to cause certainly division within the church where there shouldn't be. We should be trying to work together. And, it also causes just increased conflict, increased stress, just all these other things within the church. If we can't ever just have some differences and be able to talk about those in a healthy way, then this trend is just going to keep continuing. So I personally feel like that kind of thing needs to stop. Somebody is in the wrong somewhere in there, and so there needs to be some sort of consequence of that, and the person who refuses to repent, who refuses to stop doing what's wrong, should be removed, really, from the situation. I think that's the main reason why it says that you should treat them as a heathen and a tax collector, because first off, this is talking about somebody who has done wrong to someone else. And if they refuse to accept responsibility for that, then they're not making that effort to live within the body of Christ. So it's kind of like having a bad nerve or a joint or something like that doesn't work right. It's not healthy for the broader body of the church in this case. Anyway, if we can't handle our conflicts the way that we're supposed to, the way it models in Matthew 18, then how are we supposed to really get anything resolved within the church? We make it so much more difficult on ourselves sometimes if we're not following this example. Anyway, I think I've gone on enough about this particular topic. Again, leave comments if you want me to keep going with this series, this kind of idea of things that we're bad at as Christians, or if you want me to, go back to doing some other stuff, just talking about myself, what's going on in my life, different things I encounter, whatever it might be. Leave your suggestions in the comments section down below. And as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to my channel, click the bell button, check the box to get notifications whenever I post my videos. And you could also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I post there anytime I post a video on YouTube. And I also have Instagram that I'll do some things with occasionally. So information on all those is in the description. You can follow me on all those. So that's going to do it this time around. I hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. Stay cool, people.